today with Kyle Federmann.
How are network marketers like us supposed to rank, advance, and build a downline without bugging our friends and family or having supermodel good looks? My mind was blown when I realized that the top network marketers aren't calling their friends and families to invite them to lame hotel meetings and in-home meetings. I've spent the last 2 years learning from and dissecting the system that top earners in the industry use. Follow me on the journey as I continue to learn and implement the top marketing tips and strategies to grow my downline. This is Sarah Peterson, and you're listening to MLM Marketing Explosion.
I'm super excited to introduce you to him. Now, a lot of people just have their end game. He does have his end game in mind, but it's like their one sole purpose. I love what Kyle's doing because he's got a couple of ducks lined up in a row that all lead back to one central theme. So he isn't putting all his eggs in a basket, so to speak, but he's scaling and scaling and scaling. And I know I've heard before, that it's 7 streams of income to make you set forever and ever. And so I'm super excited to have Kyle tell you what he's doing because it's really exciting and it's really fun.
So essentially what I'm doing, I have a couple different things that are I'm to basically get money in the door. Because my end goal ultimately is to acquire real estate to be able to cash flow through rent every month. And then obviously I'm going to try to acquire a ton of houses and then package them up, sell them to somebody like a doctor or a lawyer or somebody who can afford to buy a package and wants cash flow and more security through real estate instead of like the stock market. And then obviously from that, I'm going to try to buy like bigger units, like 100, 200,000 unit buildings all across the country is like my end goal. But obviously I'm 23. I look like I'm 16. So I'll give you, I guess, a little backstory on kind of how I got started in all this. Because essentially what I do now, I obviously do real estate now, kind of wholesaling and fixing and flipping and trying to acquire rentals. I actually just closed on my first rental last Friday. And it'll all tie together, but I have a guy in like my coaching group that I ended up having loaned me money to buy it, and I got it at a steal and blah, 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 whatever. But just take a few steps back, how I got started in the entrepreneurial game. It was 2015, so about 3 years ago. It was weird because it's a 5-year program for school, so it was like it was like a pre-junior, I guess you could say. And I was working at a marina. I just started dating, who's now my fiance. We get married in July. Woo. But I just started dating her, and I had a job at a marina where I would launch boats. And I was hanging around with all these people who were making tons of money, obviously, because they have all these big yachts. And I would just launch their boats, and they'd hand over tips, whether it was obviously in college, they would give us beer or alcohol, or they'd buy us beer or whatever. And they'd give us money also for launching their boats. And then at night, when we would get done launching all the boats, they would say, hey, my cousin, he's a captain or like a licensed captain up here in Ohio. It doesn't really make sense because you can only boat like 6 to 8 months out of the year. Otherwise it's like freezing cold like now. But he would drive the boats, and they would pay him to drive their boats around so they could go drink. And he would always ask me to come along on the boats with him. So I would go on the boats and we'd go out, and obviously I was in college, so I don't consider it an alcoholic, but I drank belligerently. Not like crazy belligerent, whatever, but we would drink, and all the boat owners would give us free alcohol and stuff. And I'm like, this would be so cool to one day just have this, like I would see these guys' houses and their condos and everything, like city views. And like, it would be so cool to have this one day and just like do what these people are doing for me to help other kids out, or like start a company around something like this. And I've always wanted to, just growing up in like a middle income family. Like when I was working this job, I was probably making $400 a month. And I think I owed like $3,000 in school. And I had to owe it by January of that year. This was like May, June-ish. And I was making like $400 a month, and there's no way that I'm going to be able to pay that $3,000 unless I like got another job or something. So I started going online and looking for jobs, and I came across this Craigslist ad, And I went to I texted the lady for the number or emailed her or whatever. I can't remember exactly because it was 3 years ago. And she's like, yeah, come to this meeting. And it's kind of like an open interview type scenario. And I went to this, and I'm going to say a curse word here. It was MLM. And I actually had a kid in high school always like trying to recruit me. And he's like, and I didn't have time because in high school I was working like 40 or 50 hours a week, along with my high school job. Like I said, my parents, they raised me well, and they sent me to a Catholic school and paid for a private education and everything. So I was raised well, but they were always living paycheck to paycheck, and that's not what I wanted. And this kid just he's like, yeah, just come to this meeting, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I don't want to come to this business opportunity meeting. Like, I'm like 17 years old. I don't even know how to start a business. And it turns out, I think that MLM actually got considered a pyramid scheme or whatever and got shut down. But I didn't know MLMs recruited through Craigslist, because I was looking on Craigslist and I saw an ad, and I thought it was a job opportunity. So I literally dressed up in a suit and tie and showed up and sat through this meeting at this business presentation for an MLM. And I was like, this guy's saying you can make like $100 an hour. Basically, you can make work 4 to 7 hours a day and make $400 to $700 a day. And I was like, wow, that'd be pretty awesome. Like $100 an hour is like, I can't even do the math, like 8 times whatever I'm making now. And I was like, that would be so cool. So I joined, and it was like $49 to join. And then we did like the whole quick start meeting, and they're like, all right, well, you're going to have to write down this list of people and go call them. So pull out your phone and write all this down, and you're going to have to go call your family and friends and ask them to go do like a presentation. And I was like, oh my God, I'm the biggest introvert in the world. I cannot do this. Like I hate talking to people. Like I don't want to do this. So I went out to my car while everybody else was like in the room calling people, because I was like self-conscious. I went out to my car, and I sat there in my car, and I just like started dialing, and like I put on pump up music to get pumped up and everything. And I ended up getting like two or three meetings booked, and it was for like a home insurance company. I'm not with that MLM anymore because they didn't pay out well or whatever, but I was with them, and I booked 2 or 3 meetings. So I like helped people fight insurance companies when they wouldn't get defended enough on insurance claims. Like if their roof got torn off or something from a tornado, I would help them get more money. And the only one I actually sold was my parents. So it was kind of like a sympathy sell. And you needed 3 to get done. So I had my 3 booked, and I only got 1 of the 3. And I was like all out of leads. And I was like, what the hell? I have nothing, like, I don't know what else to do. I dropped another $800 on like getting licensed and insured and everything and bonded or whatever you have to do as an insurance broker or an adjuster. I don't know. And I got all that done, and I dropped another $800. And remember, I was making like $400 a month. So I didn't have any money to do this $800 a month. And my fiance, she's like 4 years older than me. So I'm kind of robbing the cradle a little bit. And I kept promising her these things like, we're going to make it. This is going to be it. This is going to be it. And like, I'm finally going to have the money. Like I can take you out to dinner and blah, blah, blah. And I never got it done, obviously. And shortly after, I actually met a guy, because I was still working at the marina. I met a guy there who I launched his boat all the time, and he was the one who always him and his wife always gave us beer, and he worked at a home building company, which I currently work at now. I do still have a 9 to 5, which I plan on quitting, hopefully. Like I'll call my shot now. I'm gonna quit my job at the end, or by the end of 2019. So if any of you are watching this in the future and you see this and I haven't quit my job, then come bombard me with messages and say, hey, Kyle, what the hell's wrong with you? But like, that's my goal. And I started working, or I got a job through this guy as an internship, and I worked the next 3 years as an internship, and I kind of like put MLM to the wayside. And along there, I mean, like every entrepreneur, they tried tons of things, and I started getting into like real estate because I've always loved like the transformation of a before and after of the flipping houses shows on TVs and all that. And I went to a seminar. It was like $100 for a ticket or $98 for a ticket, and you got two of them for the $98, or for it was like $200, and you got two of them. So I paid $98 to my buddy that I worked with at a different division. So I was like out in the field building houses for this home building company now. And this guy wanted to flip houses. So we're like, yeah, we'll go to it. We'll learn it all. And then we'll start. And we went to it. And obviously it was like a 3-day event boot camp where they taught you everything. And I learned it all. And then at the end, like they were pitching you like, hey, put in your application. And you put in your application and they're like, we'll see if you qualify. And then the last day they handed out this packet, and it showed all the pricing. And remember, I'm in college and still have about another year and a half, 2 years to go. And I wanted to get into it, but I didn't have the money. I was making a little bit more, like $15 an hour or something like that. And we went to this event and it was like $50,000 or $55,000 for the top end thing. And the lower tier was like 15 grand. And I was like, there is no way I'm going to get like a loan for 15 grand to do this. And like it had all these tiers, like, and I'll go into it, like how you structure an offer and everything. And obviously it had like when you joined at the lower tier, you would only get like this and this. And then at the middle tier, you get this, this, and this, and this. And then at the high tier, you get all this. And then we fly you out and all that crazy stuff. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just forget about it. And I kept listening to the podcast I was listening to because I have like a 30-minute drive to work and a 30-minute drive home. So I just listen to podcasts for an hour, and then I'm not on the phones or anything. So I listen to podcasts all day at work. And I was literally just like bombarding my head with information. And this guy I was listening to, he's like, you know what? If you're on the edge, like right now, literally, you just need to get started. Just go buy a list. And I don't know what it was. I was like, I have the money saved up. I can do this. I have like $8 grand in my account, which obviously is not a lot of money. If you think $8 grand's a lot of money, go get $8 grand and then see how quickly it dwindles away is what I shortly noticed. But I started marketing and I started sending out the letters like saying, hey, I want to buy your house. And that was in January of 2017. And then it went by, just kept going by. And the guys always said on his podcast, like, hey, you got to follow up. You got to follow up. And I hired a mentor in June. He's still my mentor to this day. And he gave me a little bit of a deal because I was in college, obviously. And I liked his style because I like how people do, like, if you spend it every month, so you're not paying a giant upfront fee. But if you spend money every month, then you hop on coaching calls and it's personal. It's a small knit group. So it wasn't like that other real estate thing that I went to where it was just giant group and you paid 50 grand and then you all come to this giant boot camp and it's not personal. And I love the personal feeling of it. And that's how I always, like, I'll let another cat out of the bag. I am terrible at school. So I was in all these classes, like 300 people. And if any of my professors are watching this, I'm sorry, but I cheated my whole way through college. Just graduated in May, but I just couldn't do it. And I couldn't learn. So that's why I got this mentor who was like small knit group and everything. And this was in June. And then he's like, yeah, just keep sending out marketing, follow up. And that's how it is in any sales or marketing game. You just need to keep following up, especially nowadays. Everybody has, like, I think it's like 6-second attention span, like shorter than a goldfish. So you got to keep hitting them and like with different stuff that piques their interest, and then eventually they'll buy. So that's what I tried doing. And I eventually had this lady, I had to figure out where this lady lived because the mail kept getting returned. Figured out she lived like all the way across the country in Colorado. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't know if I mentioned that, but she made a copy of the letter, wrote down on it. She's like, this house is not for sale, but I have one down in the city, which is right below us because we're right on the border of Kentucky and Ohio. She's like, I have one down in Kentucky for $1. And I was like, what? And I was like, this is some sick joke. And I sent a picture to my mentor, and this was 8 months down the road. So this was September. Remember, I started in January, so it took like 8 months of just like sending out letters and everything to get started. And obviously, I hit a home run, and I think I made like $9,000 off of it. The first buyer backed out, like I told you earlier before we got on this call. This was a different deal that I told you about, but the first deal I did, the buyer backed out, and I ended up losing like an extra $6,000 or whatever. So it kind of sucked, but I got my taste of it, and I was like, this is awesome, and it helped me. I did not buy my girlfriend Christmas presents or birthday present that year, and it sucks. Like it makes you feel worthless, and that was like what I was going through. Like I felt worthless because I was in school. Obviously, like I was paying for school cash, so I don't have to take out as many loans, and I just wanted to get the money to like provide. And I finally got the money in, and I brought her. We went out to a nice steak dinner to celebrate, and I bought her a Christmas present. I can't remember what that was. And then I bought her like a Louis Vuitton for her birthday because like she's always wanted one. And it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, it feels so good to actually like give her something and like be able to like pay the freaking electric bill. And it just felt good. And I got a taste of it. And then I just kept going along, and I heard about ClickFunnels, and I don't know how, but I found out about it somehow. I was looking up marketing ideas for real estate and everything because I was doing a couple deals here and there, and it's now 2018, the beginning of 2018, and I'm just starting to learn about ClickFunnels, and I started looking into it, and then I think it was Grant. You know who Grant Cardone is? So I was watching the Grant Cardone 10X event this past February in 2018. And I got it on a recording because obviously I just started my job, so I couldn't go down to wherever the heck he had it. I think it was in Vegas. I couldn't go out to Vegas because I couldn't afford it. And I was like, I got to watch this. So I watched it, and Russell came up, and I remembered he, in his presentation, he was talking about the different niches that all use ClickFunnels. And he started talking about like real estate, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then he started talking about MLM, and I was like, huh, MLM? You can't do that. And he talked about Steve Larson, and how he's doing it. And then I went and looked up Steve, and I think in May I ended up buying Steve's course because I was like, my fiance's in MLM. She sells like a skincare product or whatever, and I hate how she complains about like how people are stealing her stuff and how she posts on Facebook and like people are like making fun of her. I don't think they were making fun of her, but like I'm sure people are saying behind her back like, oh, this girl's post, you know, how people post on Facebook and stuff all about their MLM. And I was like, if there's a way we can get around this, I want to teach her how to do it. So long story short, the guy who had hosted the first hotel meeting that I went to, shortly after that actually reached out to me. And this is like on my 5th business try other than the real estate. And he reached out to me. He's like, hey, Kyle, we got this MLM that, you know why I'm backing out of the other one that we were just in, blah, blah, blah. We got this one. It's like in pre-launch, and we can hop in now and like recruit all our warm market, which is your family and friends. If none of the people who know anything about MLM, which is your family and friends, and we can recruit all our warm market and then pitch them, get them to join, make $1 million, and then just hop to the next launch. In the back of my head, I was like, one, I hate talking to my family and friends. Like I already ruined a lot of relationships from that. And two, like, why do you, it's kind of unethical just to like recruit people just to get the money and then back out. And I remembered, I was like, oh, Russell posted this on Steve, and that's when I bought the course. And I started going through it. And I actually just launched my funnel last week, and I'm doing it. Yeah. Finally, it took like 2 or 3 months. It took way too long. I was just pushing it all off and not committing to it. And I did that 30-day challenge that you did. And it really pushed me to actually get everything done in like 30 days. And I'm going to start running ads to it actually tonight when we hop off of this. So I've got one buyer, I think, but like I guess if you want me to talk about things like how I made the money to actually do some of this stuff.
Okay, I totally don't condone that you cheated.
Please don't say you're a teacher.
I'm not. Um, but I don't think school is for everybody, and I don't think that that end game is what it used to be. And if I went to college, I have a degree. My parents have not doctorates. They have master's degree and all those kind of things. And so that's always been like a thing. And it's been interesting to me because you look at those ads and it's like, you know what, this is really at the end of the day just a business. You grow up, you get a job, you move on or whatever. And so I think that's interesting that you point out that it just wasn't for you, but you do it because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're expected to do.
Yeah.
Step is college. So I kind of love, as much as I hate that you mentioned it, I love that you did, because college is not always the right answer. I can't tell you the amount of people I've talked to that graduate, there's no job waiting for them. You know what I mean? They're just waiting tables somewhere, and it's like, you could have just waited tables. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to college. There's awesome stuff at college, but I don't think that end goal is what it used to be. But I love that you spent money when you didn't necessarily have money to spend on yourself, because you could see that end game. Because it would have been really easy, especially dating and wanting to get married, and you're living this high life in college, to blow it on stuff that didn't matter and not see where your priorities are. So first of all, I totally applaud you for that. But secondly, I think that's where people get stuck sometimes, because it's so hard to know where you should spend your money or your time. How did you find your mentor?
So I actually, the first podcast I listened to, they were like probably today, over the past year since I got involved, I stopped listening to him. But he probably has like 600, 700 episodes up until today, but he had about 400 episodes, and I dove through them, and literally every single day, what was in my ear was like, it was all him. And he was like more of the Tony Robbins type of real estate entrepreneur, wholesaler, flipper guy. And he would always have, like, at the beginning of it, like, it had a song come on, and now it starts to come on at the gym because they play like Christian rock. I think it's a Christian rock song, but it says like right here, right now. And it says it at the beginning of every podcast. And I was like, stop it. You're telling me to get started. I can't. Like, I don't know how. And I ran out, got through all his podcasts and everything, and I was like, I should just do it. And I was listening to another guy, and I ran out of his podcast, but I found, who is now my mentor, I found another podcast. And if you guys want to learn how to do it, like with no money down, it is a little complicated to learn at first, but his podcast is called Flipping Houses for Rookies. And I was like, this is kind of cool. Maybe it's like legit. I don't know if it's a scam, like for rookies. Like, it sounds like those books, like blah, 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 for dummies. And I started listening to it, and I was like, I kind of relate to this guy. Like, he's low, he's kind of down to earth. He's not selling some giant course and all this. He's literally just like I could feel like the empathy, like he's trying to help me. And he has a partner in it who was the rookie. So he was at the same point I was. And he was like, just do this and this and this. And then I started going back and listening to the new podcast that other guy was uploading. And then I got all the knowledge and everything. And I started calling lawyers. And oh my gosh, pro tip, if you guys are going to get into the real estate game, just reach out to me. I will send you some contracts and everything. Don't go reach out to lawyers, because that cost me like $3,000 when I got started. And that was $3,000 I could have spent and got like $30,000 or $300,000 on marketing. But I just hit a point. I was like, I was so fed up with my life. And I wasn't living a bad life. Like I mean, I hope she doesn't see this, but I was living at my girlfriend's condo for free. Like, who can complain? And obviously, like, I couldn't afford to pay her money to help with the mortgage or anything because I was in college, but I felt miserable, like not being able to provide. And I was like, I got to figure this out. So I just started, and I was actually interning with her uncle at the time. And he was teaching me how to flip houses, how to do all the rehabs. We were working on like $300,000, $400,000 rehabs. I was like, I can do this. And so I had the coaching mentor, and I was just marketing for months and months. And I was just like, all right, this is the last list of letters. Like I've got like $500 left that I'm willing to spend on this. Like this is it. I'm going to send them all out. And like, it's been 8 months. I know they say it'll be quick or it might take a year, but I can't do this anymore. And I sent it out and I got that one back. And, I mean, it changed my life and like my future of how I like, that's the one thing I realized, like, I think this is more towards in line with your question, but I realized like when you hit a wall, and it sounds easy for me to say, now that I've gotten past a wall or past a couple of walls, actually, even within the past month or two, when you hit a wall, whether it's like relationship or finances or whatever, if you're hitting a wall, find a way around it. You got to take a hammer and smash through it. You got to find a way. If it's a straight up brick wall, find a way to climb over it. Find resources around you to use to climb over it. Find the end of the wall and walk around it, or find a damn shovel and dig under it. Like you have to get through that wall, but as long as you just keep beating on it, you will get through and something good will come of it. And that's, people always say it. And like, I don't really believe them when they say that. But now that I've hit these walls and I've hit these obstacles, I've realized like, hey, just keep pushing and it will work. And it's like, it's not only like personal development and like your mindset shifts, but it just like, it feels so cool to look back on and be like, wow, that was like one of the roughest times of my life that I had to get over. Did that answer your question? I like to ramble sometimes.
Oh, awesome. You know, I love that that you didn't let it stop you. I mean, 8 months is a long time.
Oh, it was.
But
it was.
You know, we talked about this a little bit before we started too. I've done real estate in the past. I have a love-hate relationship with real estate. But one of the very first deals, I've done commercial, I've done, you know, smaller houses, whatever. But one of the very first deals we ever did was a flip where we bought it, fixed it up, and flipped it. And luckily we made a little bit of money on it, but we jumped in because we wanted a house really bad. And in hindsight, looking back, it was great that we jumped in because you got to jump.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That jump, but it was also bad because we overpaid because we wanted it so bad, and you know what I mean. It was like, okay, we'll bid it up. You know, okay, we got it, awesome, but now our margin's gone. But and I think especially with real estate, where you know you've done real estate is a patience game. There are deals everywhere. But you have to be patient. And, you know, I think it's so cool that, you know, you waited 8 months to find that deal, because once you find that deal and once you do it, it gets easier and easier to do the next one and the next one. And, you know, and I just think that's really cool. I think that's super inspiring. You've kind of answered this, but what was, actually, I'll ask it another way because you've kind of answered this one. What was probably the best thing that you've learned from everything that you've gone through? And I know you're still doing MLM as well, right?
Yeah. So basically what I do now, since I bought that course and I went through that 30-day challenge, I was like, all right, I keep talking about this. Like I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, but a lot of the money, I could quit everything I'm doing and have a lot more money coming in every month. Like all the mentors I'm paying and stuff like that. And that's just like, if you're getting started, you don't have to pay for a mentor. If you can find one, like find one a couple levels higher than you, or go buy a course or something. And like, that's what I realized is when you pay for something, not only it makes you like actually do it, like for people who, I think you may be charging people for this summit. If people are paying for this summit, they're actually going to go through it. Like if it's an actual hurt for them, they're going to go through it and they're going to learn a ton. Because I know the people you are going to have on here are going to be awesome. And I'm not bragging about myself. But you can pay people to kind of like fast forward and go quicker. I just realized like you kind of got to pay to get somewhere in life. And it's going to take a little bit of pain, and like, I hate the motivational talk like that, but it takes a little bit, sometimes a lot of bit of pain to actually get forward to something, and actually like succeed. I paid for the course so I could go quicker. And now I am in MLM, and essentially what I'm doing is I'm using ClickFunnels and marketing and everything. And I'm also kind of selling Steve's product as an affiliate, because if I can go like talk to people and kind of recruit people and like, hey, this is where I learn all my stuff, I will give this to you. And when you join, so what I was going to do, or what I started doing, like I had this course and I had to figure out how to pay, because I'm not going to get the $97 a month for ClickFunnels. Like, yes, it was cool. And like, I started getting into MailChimp and everything, and I am terrible at technology. Like, I am the worst person. Like, if you had a technology question, I'm a millennial, so I can figure it out with the iPhone, and like, I figured it out, but I guess it's not the technology part that I suck at. It's the reading directions and instructions. It's the school stuff. Like, I hate that, and I am terrible at it. So I was like, how can I afford to find out how can I pay for the $297 a month? So one, I was like, I can flip a house, which I told you about. Like, I had that one under contract back in June. It's now December, about to be the new year. Woo. So that was back in June. I got it under contract. I was like, all right, well, this will be my start. And it was just going month and month and month. And like, that was one of those walls. It took 6 months to actually get that deal closed. But in between there, I was like, I got to get started and get more money coming in quicker, and kind of get it more automated, so then I can push it all into my real estate business. And that's what I started doing. I started figuring out like, hey, I want to use the ClickFunnels. I'm going to use it with MLM. Like I said, I bought that course, and I got to figure out how to pay the $297 a month. But not only that, also afford ads. Like, I don't know if my ads will work. So I got to figure out how to do this also. So what I started doing, and any people who are just getting started, I started a podcast. I'm not an expert. I will admit it right now. I'm not an expert. I'm not a guru. I never want to be a guru. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh, I'm so much better than you. Like, I literally just want a nice house and a big truck, to kind of run over crap in my land that I have on my house. Like, just be a giant hillbilly. That's what I want to do. I don't want to, like, I want a ton of money, but for my kids, to like make my kids happy. Like, I don't care about the whole showy Lamborghini and stuff. But I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And in this course, he said, don't act like you're an expert. So what I did, I got on a podcast. I told my backstory, just like I told you at the beginning of this. It was like 20 minutes long. It wasn't my whole backstory. If you guys want to hear an example of a backstory, you can go listen to my podcast or whatever, and I can plug it at the end of this if you want me to. But I started the podcast, and I was like, listen, guys, I'm not an expert, but I've been studying the experts, and I see what they're doing. And a lot of people aren't being taught this by their upline in MLM. And I'm going to show you like the truth. Like, there's a lot of shady crap that's going on in MLM, and all the marketing is like, it's not even marketing, like multi-level marketing, network marketing, but they're all just like pitching people and just like puking all over them and spitting all over them. Like, hey, come buy my product. And like, they're posting on Facebook, and like it's terrible. And I was like, I started looking at the top players in MLM, and I was like, they're not actually doing this. They're not doing the hotel meetings. They're not doing the three-way calls. They're not going to people's houses and doing presentations. They're not posting on Facebook like, hey, come buy my MLM product. And what I realized is they're using other people's products to sell, or they're using their own products to sell the MLM products, which is conjoined with affiliate marketing. And this is where I'll kind of tie it all in, is to how I started to find the money to pay for ClickFunnels and all that. MLM and affiliate marketing are essentially the same. So you got to create an offer, or you got to create like a package to give somebody. Because obviously, if everybody is selling, say for example, I'm going to sell this water bottle, or no, I'll sell this coffee mug. Obviously it's Starbucks, so it's a little bit of a cult. But I'm going to sell this coffee mug. So everybody in the world is selling a coffee mug, right? So what can you do to make your coffee mug stand out? Oh yeah, you can lower the price, but that you don't make any more money. You lose money when you start lowering the price like that. And that's what I figured out. Like, people are doing the exact same thing in MLM, and people are doing the exact same thing in affiliate marketing. And they're like, oh, well, when you buy through my link, I'll Venmo you like $20, or like in affiliate marketing, if they're selling like $1,000 product, I'll Venmo you the $100 that I make. And then I'm only making 150 instead of 250. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, why are you doing that when you can create an offer? So for this coffee cup, for an example, what could you do to give away this free coffee cup? Hey, when you buy this coffee cup for $7, I will give you a free tall coffee to go with it when you buy it that day, plus a shot of espresso or something like that. So they're buying the cup of coffee, and I think Starbucks even does something like that when you buy their plastic mugs. Or like when you buy, hey, if you come back and it's refillable, so when you come back, we can give you a coffee for $1 off every time, or we can knock 50 cents off your coffee. And that, you're creating an offer. You're creating your own product out of that product. So what I started doing in my MLM is I went to Steve's course. Steve says, hey, just literally don't copy what I'm doing, but take it, transcribe it all, put it in your own words, and add training onto it and stuff. Sorry. So I started transcribing, and it's like these 5 videos. What I started doing is my lead generation in MLM. And I started farming these Facebook groups, and I would just post in there, like with the big, Facebook just came out with the big picture that you could post with the words on it. And they came out with this balloon one. And I was like, this one is like going to stand out. So when people see I post in this, they'll be scrolling down and they'll be like, what the hell? This all colorful thing? And what it says, it just says, I will blow up your MLM. Comment, I'm in below. And I'll send you my 5 free social media marketing domination template or whatever. And I send them my template. It's a PDF, like 5 pages long. It shows them, and it's not crap. It actually shows them, like, kind of pulls them out of their comfort zone and like, hey, this is what you can do to add value onto your product and actually sell your product better on Facebook. And then at the bottom, it just has a link like, hey, come join my Facebook group. So I pull these people in through this, and like, you can use this, and I hope all the people listening use this. Like, if you're an MLM, go use it too. Like, I want people to succeed with this. And I just pull them into my group, and I get their email, and then I start marketing to them with this course. Hey, you can buy this course. Now my new funnel is I'm doing it free plus shipping, and I send them a USB drive that says like Freedom on it, and it has it's a key that you can plug in. So it's kind of tacky, or like, what do you call it? Punny. It's like a little pun, but oh well. It's kind of cheesy. But I send that out to them for free. All they got to do is pay the $8 for shipping, and then they can click an upsell where I send them like these social media bots. So like when somebody goes to your Facebook page, this is how you make money while you sleep. Is what I figured out. You want to do is like, if you can figure out how to make money while you sleep, that is where the money is. Like, you want to be able to cash flow while you're sleeping. So I send them this MLM bot, and when somebody lands on your Facebook page, this Facebook Messenger pops up like boop down in the bottom corner, and then it says like, hey, what are you coming here for? And then it'll say like, I can't remember what it is exactly because I literally just built it and I forget everything if I don't look at it more than once. But it says like, make more money, or get a free sample, or I want to chat, something like that. And then it goes into this whole sequence, like each thing, all 3 of them, they go into all these different sequences, and it creates like this whole bot, and it's all automated. And that obviously upsells into something else, and I can go through that if you want me to. But what I figured out is what I'm doing with this, I'm not selling my MLM product up front. Like, obviously nobody wants to sell their MLM product up front because it's like a lot of money to somebody who wants to get in business or wants to create like a lifestyle of freedom or whatever, like just make an extra couple $100 a month. But $800 up front is like a ton of money. Unless you're like an entrepreneur or somebody like me or you who is spending thousands of or hundreds or thousands of dollars a month on mentoring, books, courses, all this, obviously it's a lot of money. So you want to kind of like, I don't know if you'll ever go into the value ladder, but basically the value ladder is I have it's think of steps. So you have the PDF, the free PDF that I was giving here. The next thing up was my free Facebook group. So they're getting all this stuff for free. And in the free Facebook, Pete. In the free Facebook group, and you don't have to edit this out. I screw up my words all the time. But in the free Facebook group, I go live every day. So like on my way home before we hopped on this call, I was going live talking about, one, I'm going to be on this cool summit, and I was pitching it kind of to my people. So when you come out with it, you're going to have to send me a link and I can shoot it over to them. And then also, like, hey, this is something cool. I learned how to automate your business. And I go live for like 20 or 30 minutes every day because I have that 20 or 30 minute drive. What can I do to gain more people's reach, or like have more people know, like, and trust me, or make more money or whatever? So I either hop on calls and call people from banks or whatever I'm trying to get liens released from, or I do this and I go live in that Facebook group. But now I have this funnel set up to where I have them pay just a little bit of money, and it qualifies them. Like, hey, this person's actually interested. So when they buy this, it shoots them an email and it takes them through my whole course. Like, obviously I'll ship out the 5 videos or whatever to them in the next week or two, but it ships them out, or it sends them an email day by day for 5 days. And essentially what that does in there, it gives them the videos. One, they're on YouTube. It's super easy. It's all free. And you just get people to pay for it essentially by buying your product. And I'm not making any money on that USB. Obviously, I'm making the money on the MLM chatbot or whatever. That's liquidating my ad costs, which is like a little hack if people haven't gotten too deep into ClickFunnels yet. But at the bottom, where it says like unsubscribe and stuff in the email, it just has my footer, and then it says want to join my downline, and then it has a dash, and then it says like unsubscribe. So they can either click either one, or they can go through the email and not see it or whatever. But it's not a hard pitch. And to join my downline, they actually have to apply. So that's what makes it cool, is like I'm kind of filtering through. So like, think of a coffee filter. You put all the coffee grounds in a little filter, and then you run the water through in the coffee machine. And when you're done, you have this awesome cup of coffee, and there's no coffee grounds. There's none of those crappy coffee grounds that are all crunchy and everything. And you have this awesome cup of coffee. So that's what I'm doing with my MLM. I'm trying to recruit the top people. And I'm doing it all on autopilot now through this system. And basically, to tie it all together, I'm paying for ClickFunnels and all that using this. And then also when like the little affiliate thing, sneaky trick that I'm doing, I realized Steve does not have the, like, the 30 days challenge, how we did the opt-in page for like a free PDF or whatever. I give people, if people want, like, I'm setting up my course right now. That'll be more high ticket, and I have people who want to join my downline. They have to buy this, or have to go through it, or have to buy at the top tier, and then they get this free. They have to go through this course to actually be in my downline, which is awesome because, one, it automates all my training. So I don't have to teach them anything. I don't have to sit on the phone. Like, I know people in MLM who are literally working from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Like, hey, residual income, work from home. Like, no, you are working your face off. You do not want to do that. And that's what I figured out, is like, hey, if I can set this all up in a training and a course, and it trains people automatically, and all they do if they have questions, they post in my group, then I can go in and answer it whenever I need to. Obviously, I do it urgently if I can, or like if I'm not busy. But if I'm busy, or like when I have kids in the future, like I don't know if she wants to have kids or whatever. Like, we might have kids like right after we get married in July. I don't know. But once I start having kids, I don't want to be working on business when I'm at home with my kids. I want to have like a concentrated 6 to 8 hours, just hardcore, grind it out and get a ton done in that 6 to 8 hours, and then come home and be family time. Because like right now, I come home and I do things like this. I hop on summits, and like, not that I don't love it, because I do, but I'm working my face off right now to get to that point. And I mean, it's just all about automation. But when I tell people, hey, I've got this course coming up, so you can be in the course. You can pay the $197 to be a seed member or a beta tester, just like Steve taught at Offer. You can pay the $197 to be a beta tester or a seed member, but it's going to take a couple months to come out. Or if you want to pay, I think it's like $1,000 Then if you want to pay the $1,000 for Steve's course, which is a little affiliate trick here, I get $250 commission from that. When you buy that, I'm going to give you free entry into my beta testing group, so you won't have to pay for it. You'll get all the training that I'm using, and obviously I'm going to add stuff onto it. You're going to get all that in this course, but also I'm going to give you my free opt-in funnel that Steve doesn't teach in his course. So I'm stacking all this. Like, literally, I should not be doing this, but I am right now, just because, like, hey, I want to go, like, I can afford it. I have the money. But I want to go to Funnel Hacking Live in February, which is 2 months from now, which is really scary. And I don't have the money to pay for it. How can I afford it? Oh, I'm going to get 4 or 5 people to buy this product, and then I'll have the $1,000 to buy a ticket. So that's what I'm doing. Literally, like, for MLM, affiliate, whatever, stack as much value as you can to sell this product. And like, for the MLM example, like, I'm doing that funnel, I'm making money, and it allows me to make money. Like, if you're an MLM or like a stay-at-home mom or whatever watching this, if you're making money on the side, then, and your MLM isn't making money, then that's good. You're creating your own brand. What happens if your MLM shuts down tomorrow and you were making 10 grand a month, but your MLM shuts down? Like, you're out of luck. You're just out of luck, because that company controlled all your traffic, and they created a product for you, and you did not create your own product on the side. And that is deadly.
I totally want you to tell everybody what your podcast is. Tell them where they can go follow your Facebook group. You guys sometimes don't get inundated with so much information that you never start anything. But, you know, Kyle's going to offer stuff that I don't offer. I'm going to offer stuff that Kyle doesn't offer. That's how it works. You're going to be able to put this all together, and you're going to be able to create your own offers, which is what's so cool. So if you are not already following Kyle Federmann, which chances are you probably aren't yet.
Yeah, tiny little fish.
And it's okay to be a tiny little fish, because you know what they say, you only need 1,000 raving fans.
Oh yeah,
huge.
1,000 true fans.
Yeah, that's nothing. I mean, that's really nothing. But go follow Kyle. He's up. He's coming. Watch out, because he's going places, and you're gonna want to go with him. And it's Kyle Federmann. That's on Facebook. What's the name of your podcast, Kyle?
So the podcast is called the MLM to Freedom Project, and basically I named it that because I'm trying to get people to follow me along. Obviously, because I'm not an expert, I'm not a guru. Like I said, I'm just documenting every step I'm taking along the way, so people can see what I'm doing and just copy it, and kind of use it for themselves. But it's called the MLM to Freedom Project with the number 2, because I'm trying to escape the 9-to-5 to freedom, and that's like my whole branding of everything, or whatever. So like, if you go to, I think it's MLM the number 2 freedomproject.com. That's where like my current funnel now is. If people are watching this within the next couple of months, if I don't have it up, it would be at mlm2freedom.com. That's where I'm going to do like a webinar and everything. But if not, just shoot an email to Kyle at mlm2freedom.com. And I can answer your questions. Like, I really don't mind actually helping people. So if you have questions about Sarah or whatever, if she's trustworthy, or you just have questions about anything, just shoot me an email, or go follow my podcast or comment or whatever, add me on Facebook, and just don't be one of those people who add me on Facebook and then just message me all kinds of crap, because I don't want all kinds of friends requests to like join your team and everything, because I hate that. So that's it though. That's all I got.
That's super crazy awesome. I love it. And Kyle, I hope that in a couple months you'll let me re-interview you to see where you're going. You know, I think that's so cool, because you don't have to be an expert to start. You just have to start if you want to be an expert.
Do you struggle with knowing what to post about and how to create engaging content that people will want to comment on so that it will trend on social media? If so, go to www.marketingexplosion.org/post and pick up my 25 go-to post ideas that you can begin using today to create content that people are actually going to be excited about engaging with. See you soon.